سلام بچه ها، چطورید؟ امیدوارم حالتون خوب باشه. خوش اومدیم به قسمت دوم بازی با ادیت فینچ. ببخشید که قسمت اول اونجوری قطع شد، متاسفانه به دلیل مشکلات فنی صدام قطع شد. این کنارم دارن ساختمون سازی میکنن که صداشون هم الان قطع شده و اون. خب تا اینجا دریافتیم که اسم ما ادیت فکر کنم و داریم دنبال تاریخچه حالا خانواده‌مون میگردیم و اول از همه دفتر خاطرات مالی رو خوندیم که یه بچه دیوانه بود، خیلی دیوانه بود و الان داریم کم کم تو اتاق همشون میریم و ببینیم که چجوری. اینا اتاق بابا بزرگه.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
بابا بزرگ. بعد همه خانواده اینجوری دیوونم بودن دیگه، همه جا اینجوری جاهای مخفی گذاشتن معما و اینا خیلی رندوم.
My brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, he'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin!
نمیخوام.
But that day,
نمیام، دارم توپ بازی
he
میکنم.
finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
بچرخ دیگه.
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
مرد.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
خب تا الان این بچه با مالیات چیز کردیم. اودین نمیدونم چی راجبش خوندیم ولی گویا اینم یافتیم که چی به چی بود.
Edith roped off Calvin's half of the room.
آخه
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
کلا خانواده اهل کتاب خوندن نبودن ولی انواع معماها و اینا رو تو کتابا جا دادن. برو.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
این چیه؟ چقدر سوراخ سنبه داره خونه. اوه این اینجا در اومد. نگاه. خب باربارا چجوری بریم تو اتاق باربارا؟
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
بازیگر بوده.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
اتاقشه. وای خدا نگاه چقدر دیتیل. واو. از این ساعت وای اینقدر از این ساعت خوشم میاد اینجوری گربه است. خدا پیدا کنم اینو میخرم.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family.
بچه این آرلوس داره با اسباباتیش بازی میکنه، سر صدا داره میکنه. بده من اینو.
As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
جیغاش راضی نبودن.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan
and
current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orca's Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages.
تقصیر بابایه پس این همه معما و چیزا هست اینجا.
Winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks.
بسیار
I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him. Right on cue.
مالی خوردش.
She reached for the music box.
اوه میتونه چرا توی کامیک داره بازی میکنه؟ چقدر جالب.
House was silent.
میتونم راه برم این تو. خیلی ایدهش باحاله.
And imagine the worst.
خدا اکی بیاد نزدیکم میزنمش. کجا باید برم؟
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
برو جلو.
Old Finch rattled and grew still.
یخچال میخواد بخورد. چرا ترسیدم واقعا؟ چرا؟
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show.
قفل کرد زندونیش کردم.
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
خب باید بریم بالا مادر جان. باید بریم ببینیم چی شده. این آهنگ فیلم هالووینه. ببخشید. کپی رایت نخورم آقا داریم. من همه جا هالووینیه. وای چقدر باحاله. چی شده؟ خدا کجا برم؟ این هم اتاق است که توش اینا بود. والتر هم توشه. والتر کجایی؟
At his bedside radio, still on.
Orcas Island police described the 6 feet tall with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Okay.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
آره بزن.
He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
برو از اینجا برو. نمون اینجا برو. نمون اینجا. برو. اوکی اتاق مالیه. مالی جان. مالی دیگه زنده نبود که اینجا بود. کجا برم؟
She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years.
مالی مرده بود.
Just grow.
بریم آره. بیفت بریم. آره.
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
چرا؟ برو دیگه زد تندتر برو. میتونی تندتر بری. والتر مادر ای وای نیست.
Had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard
این
was
تکون میخوره. کسته
someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
ای چقدر وحشتناک بود. عکس گوشش هم اونوره.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
خب بچه برای امروز کافیه. من دیگه واقعا اعصابم خورد شده از صدای اینا و هرچقدر میمونم تا ساکت بشن ساکت نمیشن. مرسی که تا اینجای ویدیو رو دیدین بچه‌ها. الان ساکت. سعی می‌کنم که پارت بعدیش هم زود به زود بذارم و امیدوارم که از این بازی خوشتون اومده باشه و یادتون نره که سابسکرایب کنین هموطن و من شما رو توی ویدیوی بعدی می‌بینم. خدافظ.